Hello everyone, welcome back. It's Thursday, and that means it's time for Tier 2 racing action all the way from the Great White North, Canada. My name is Strifium. Joining me from the UK, as always, Unicorn. How are you doing?
Yeah, the last round of Tier 2, been since the start, all 22 rounds, and I'm very looking forward to see how we wrap things up here in Abu Dhabi. It's a very, very exciting race earlier this week on Tuesday.
It definitely was. That was probably, well, I'll say this, one of the most explosive race finishes we have had in the Misfits Racing League. Would you agree?
Yeah, for sure. We were very vocal, should we say, on those closing few laps.
Definitely. Final round 22 for Tier 2 action. 22 straight weeks of battle. And we have finally arrived December 17th. It is 3 minutes to racing action time. And what a season it's been so far. I mean, it's been intense all season long. We've had we've had different stories and dramas develop over the season, but it's going to be quite fantastic to see the finale here. I'm shaking because Tier 2 has really thrown us some curveballs over the season. Let's take a look at who's driving today. We have Kai Baccini over at Mercedes with Cotters, of course, Yasko and Scars for Ferrari, Gadwin and Liam over at Red Bull, Matteo and Mario for McLaren, Undertaker and Verstappen for Renault, Adrian and Wisp at AlphaTauri with Darian Alfie in Extreme over at Racing Point. We have Maxim B and CJOS over at Alfa Romeo, Crampy and Henners for Haas with Domi and Squid, rounding out the 20 full-time drivers registered for this division. Let's take a look at the standings now coming into Abu Dhabi. Domi, of course, clinching that Tier 2 championship a few rounds ago. Still holding on to it. Right now, Liam, 14 points ahead of Kai Baccini in that second slot. Maxim B, 139 points, is currently defending off Wisp. CJOS is right behind him, and he's hunting down a position in the standings as well. And there's quite a few different points differentials in that top 10. But let's take a look at the constructors. Williams, Red Bull, and Mercedes, your top three. Cotters to P9 after penalty removal. Gadwin to P11. Squid receives 2 penalty points, and Darian Alfie to receive 2 penalty points, as well as dropping to P10 after round 21. And with all of that, we are just about to go racing here in Abu Dhabi, Unicorn.
Yeah, and we've got a full grid of 20 drivers, 18 of them the full time, so almost everyone here to wrap things up in the final race of the season.
Very excited to see how this pans out. Oh, it's after EU, and I didn't have an opportunity to see the Oceanic race. It has been recorded, and it will be released at a later time on the YouTube channel, but I've been told that was also quite a unique race, and it really makes me nervous for the racing action this evening. Of course, Tier 2 happening now. We're just about to jump into qualifying. We have Tier 1 in just 2 hours' time, precisely, as we are into this qualifying session right on time. And we have 20 driver grid, 18 minutes of qualifying. Maxim B, Undertaker F, Scars, Extreme, Kai Baccini, a Cactus, CJOS, Adrian, Verstappen, Domi, Matteo Longe, his brother. For those that don't know, Matteo Longe, his brother, just won the final race of the season in Formula 1 Esports, so congratulations to him. Liam, of course, 12th position. Gadwin there, right behind him in the Red Bull. Mario, 14th. We have Crampy, 15th. Neo, that's also Wisp. For those that don't know, Neo, Wisp, same guy. Squid, Darian Alfie, Yasko, Houdini. And I'll take this time as Maxim B is at the top of the timing tower to congratulate Mr. Jarno Otmir on his Formula 1 Esports World Championship. So, of course, the Alfa Romeo driver will be thrilled about that.
Yeah, obviously our championship is wrapped up, but like you said before, there's a few battles that are yet to be settled, and this is also the last chance for the racers to prove themselves against this exact grid. And people get better over the course of a season. This is really the last chance to prove where you stand. Obviously, the standings are one thing, but see where everyone finishes in this race as well. It's the last chance to get on that podium and get one of these wins that all of these drivers will cover quite dearly, as it's their last chance.
Squid in the Williams, as always, one of the first to come out here in qualifying, wanting to get that camera time. We always I'd say we always give it to the lead driver out of the pit lane, don't we, Unicorn?
Yeah, it's a pretty surefire way to get yourself on camera. And, if you're showing this to your friends and family and be like, oh, it's a very easy way to just not have to skip through to find some action highlights. Get yourself on camera straight away at the start. So, we are, like you say, Squid, quite commonly one of the first to jump out of the pit lane. Crampy just behind him as well. He, especially at the start of the season, was very competitive in getting out of that Haas garage as quickly as possible.
You and I might have to get a tally going over the course of the season. Who got the most leads out of the pit lane?
I think that's an excellent idea.
We need to do that. We'll have our own little championship at the back. No one will know about it except you and I. Squid will be the first driver to set a lap here as he gets things set to go. He's going out on these softs, as all of these races are. We've been told it's going to be a dry campaign, which is kind of what I would expect here in Abu Dhabi, but apparently it has rained, so I don't know. But Squid now coming down into turn 1. Let's take a look on board with him. Unicorn, why don't you take us through this circuit a little bit? I'm sure you have some favorite overtaking spots here.
Well, there's a lot of them around here. This first sector, pretty easy to spin the car, actually, especially if you're going side by side, then down into this 5-6 chicane. You can make a little dive up the inside there, then the hairpin at turn 7. If you go a little bit deep, as Squid is kind of done there, again, you can kind of force you out the inside there, but here, the first of the two very long DRS straights, definitely where we're going to be seeing a lot of action this evening. The DRS down here, it's such a long straight, it's very powerful. Then up the inside into turn 8 and through 9. Here, the exit here is critical as to where that DRS detection zone is and who gets the DRS down here out of turn 10 down towards 11. This second DRS straight also ending in a chicane, but it's a little bit faster. It doesn't cut back on itself quite as much through 11 and 12.
Gadwin's had an issue.
Yeah, he has spun through sector 1. Just like I said, it was a little bit easier to. He's gone and proved my point for me, I imagine. I didn't see it, but being out of that 4th turn, you've got to imagine that's what happened to him. Squid now exiting out of 19, and we've seen a few late moves through there. And the final 2 corners pretty much 90-degree turns, and across the line opening with a 134.9 in the Williams, instantly beaten by Verstappen in the Renault behind in the 133.4, and Crampy goes slap bang in the middle of them, a 133.9.
Crampy will be happy with that first run here. Somebody told me Crampy's getting a podium today, and I said I would love to see it, so we'll see what he's able to do. Maxime B's flying in the Alfa Romeo. He's in a good position in the championship right now. Houdini crosses into 5th, but Scars hops P2 here in the Ferrari. 133.680. He's also a favorite for a possible podium today. Kai Bacchini, he's fighting for that. Of course, 2nd position to round out his season in the standings right now. Domi, he got that win, but it's a battle between Kai and the former champion Liam right now for that runner-up position. Kai's doing a good job. P4 from him, that 133.996. He is ahead of Liam, who ran a 134.194, and 12 drivers already coming through to set times here. There was a ton of traffic getting out in the first stint of this qualifying.
Yeah, and traffic, you can see it a lot around here that a lot of drivers slow themselves down before the final turn in between 20 and 21 to just give themselves as much space as possible.
Maxim B, 134.237, just ahead of his teammate Sejoss. Sejoss, he's looking for that 5th in the championship here. Mateo, who has come into this grid midway through, and he has shown excellent signs of a potential championship next season, I'll say that. And we'll see what he's able to do here today to maybe prevent some of these other guys to score the points they need to advance in their own battles. He's been very quick throughout the season so far. Some ups and downs, but very good performance out of the McLaren. Speaking of McLarens, we have Mario coming through 8 and 9. Sector 2, he's about to go down that long second straight. Tapping through turn 10.
Extreme has just had a huge crash. Again.
Looks like the same place as Gadwin has had his issue.
But his car went aerial after jumping off the curb and into the barrier, so that's going to knock his confidence going into this race.
Poll in the chat for those of you tuning in. We have a poll in the chat. Who do you think will end up, of course, in the second position in the standings? Will it be the former Tier 2 champion Liam, or will it be Kai Bacchini? Let us know in the poll, or let us know in the chat. We want to hear it. Verstappen a 133.491. He takes pole position here. Mario jumps third in the McLaren, a 133.951. And the times are coming hard and fast. Another driver we are looking to see a time from is Darian Alfie in the Racing Point. He's also had some consistent drives here. A little bit of a slide coming out of 18 there.
Darren Alfie, definitely one of the... Right. He's had a few real standout performances this season. If I'm right in saying Hungary did very well at, if not winning that race, if memory serves me well. But yeah, some very strong drives coming out of that side of the Racing Point garage.
Well, P10 for him. Looks like someone's just rejoined the lobby. I had a bit of a desync on my spectator controls. Yasko right now, he's on the mediums. He's looking to improve. We'll see what he's able to do in this Ferrari as he crosses the line. It is a massive improvement. 2 seconds. 135.394, 13th position for him so far, and he's ran multiple laps on those tires. Everybody ahead of him on the softs.
Yeah, it's the tire strategy around here is pretty much set in stone. Usually a soft medium, but we saw safety cars really play a role in Tuesday's race in terms of the strategy. So we might see that again here. And the driver who won that race, Anthony Pitch, well, he won that starting on medium. So
Matteo Longe right now in the McLaren. He has just begun a flyer, and he is coming down into the first chicane here just before the hairpin, coming into Sector 2. Matteo Longe, younger brother of the most recent Formula 1 esports race winner, Nicholas Longe, driving for Renault Vitality Esports. Let's see what he's able to do. See if he can, follow in the family footsteps today. Take a race win here around Abu Dhabi. It is his final race for Tier 2. Getting a little bit of a look at Liam there coming down into turn 8. Bit of a lockup on the inside.
Well, like you said, joined the season late, but he's still on for 8th in the Drivers' Championship. Should he outscore Gadwin by 4 points? And, well, Gadwin out of this qualifying session. He's got a very good opportunity here, has Matteo, to find those extra 4 points he needs to put himself ahead of Gadwin. Actually, he's scoring by 5. He's 4 behind at the moment. So 5 would really secure that place. He's been on the podium 3 times this season in the short stint that he's been here. He hasn't won a race, though, Strip. Could we see him end that streak today? Get a win in his debut season?
Well, I imagine he would love to. Absolutely love to. He's been absolutely maximizing this circuit. What's he able to do about it? Pole position, a 133.361. Time and tire showing at 360. And that puts him a 10th and 300ths ahead of Verstappen. And he is going to be happy about that. And he has now just given himself the best possible position so far in this qualifying to get what you just said, that race win.
Yeah, it'd be very, very exciting to see him get it. Someone who's been getting race wins all season long. Domi, the championship winner, still in that pit lane. And I do believe, Verstappen, though, he found 3.5 tenths, more like 4 tenths in the final sector. He was down coming out of sector 2, but he's gone faster still. A 133.1 there coming out of the Renault. But Domi, I do believe he might be on different hardware today. I think his PC might be playing up. He's on some sort of gaming laptop, I do believe. Scars now hopping into P2 on 133.176, so 400ths down on the stat bend. But yeah, Domi might struggle with this race, depending on how his hardware performs.
Well, Neo right now, aka Wisp, as we've known him all season, he's been driving that AlphaTauri, partnering Adrian throughout the entire campaign. And they have had quite a solid campaign, if I do say so myself. Adrian right now, he is 7th, currently running behind Wisp on a flyer, and we'll see what Wisp is able to do. He's just set purple sector 2 in the AlphaTauri.
Crampy, he's about to cross the line, and it's third fastest for him. He found 6.5 tenths through there. 6.5 seconds would have been very impressive, but 133.329, so just beating out Matteo's previous best. He's hopped back into the pit lane in the McLaren.
Here we have Wisp now to the line. What's it going to be from him? P6, a 133.897. Jumping his teammate, Maxim B will be next across. He's in the Alfa Romeo, not too far behind him. He goes 7th, right behind him by 0.04 of a second. He ran a 133.937.
And someone else who's close in this fight, Mario, I'm watching him right now, and he was up through sector 1. He's about to cross the timing line into sector 3. Can he keep that momentum going? He's found another 10th. He's now 2 tenths up, and this would see him jump into at least 6th place, if not into that top 5, join his teammate. Not there in those really high scoring positions. But we saw for Stat Ben find all of his improvement through this final sector. Can Mario do the same? Maybe go into that top 3, maybe find himself on the front row provisionally here as we hop into the last 4.5 minutes of this qualifying session, using all of the outside curb on the penultimate turn. It's a 133.680, not finding too much time for the final sector, but still P6 for the McLaren.
Extreme, Gadwin with their incidents out of this session. Squid as well, not going to be improving. He also had some kind of issue throughout this session that I did not personally pick up on. But I can say Domi, curious to see whether or not he's going to come out here or if he's going to attempt a back-to-front drive in this campaign.
Yeah, I can't say I saw what happened to Squid either, but you say out of this session, 14th on the grid, he will get that free tyre choice as Yasko in the Ferrari. He's set to set his first time of the evening. He's, well, actually, he set a 135.3, which somehow I didn't see on the tyre tower when I previously looked at it, but here we go. Looking to improve upon that now. 1.5 seconds found, and it's P7 for the Ferrari at the moment. 133.813, so he'll be much happy with that lap time.
He'll be thrilled to jump into P7 from where he was. That's a major improvement. Of course, that first time that he had set, it was on those mediums. Now, majority of this grid, well, the entirety of this grid, setting all their times on the softs. Liam, however, a 134.194 is his best run. He's out on the mediums right now, and he's just begun. He's come through turn 2 now. And I'm curious to see if he just maybe, well, he's found an improvement through Sector 1. He's up a 10th. Improved by a 10th.
Yeah, well, the mediums, we said it before, they can be quite... Putting yourself on that alternate strategy can be a very, very powerful thing if you do it right, and safety cars play into your hands rather than those on the soft.
Matteo just ahead of Liam. Will actually be the first across, and we saw him set a very good time, but he's had a big slide coming out of turn 9 here at Unicorn, and I don't know if it's going to be enough to really find him an improvement given how things are so tight right now in the top end of this grid. Yeah, you can see now coming out of Sector 2, he's lost any opportunity at an improvement. He's actually dropped a lap. He's pulling off outside here, and there goes Liam through. So we'll jump back on with the Red Bull. He's had a little bit of a slip coming out on the curb there And I don't know if that's going to compromise his lap overall, but he's on these mediums, which is, well, I want to see if he gets into the top 10 on these, and that can be crucial. There's a big wave coming out of that Red Bull now through the final, well, the penultimate turn, and he's going to come in. So he did not find an improvement.
Yeah, looks like Matteo is going again in the McLaren. Someone I've got my eye on right now, Scars in the Ferrari. He's currently sitting on a 133.176, and through Sector 1 alone, he found 1.5 tenths. So could we see him go into the 132s here? It all depends on the final two sectors. He's actually lost a tiny bit of time, I think, through the second sector, but he's still on for that improvement. It wouldn't quite be enough for the 132.9, but still, it would be enough for provisional pole. Verstappen, Crampy, they're both on outlaps. They're looking to try and claim that top spot for themselves, as well as Matteo, Just Mario. Starts now down into the penultimate turn. The Ferrari, again, using that outside curbing. Through the final turn now, all ERS depleted. It's enough that it's a 132.912. He's found a fair bit of time through that the final sector, sorry, to break into the 132.9. It's the first person to go sub 133 here. What can the other drivers do about it? Joss, well, he's just started a flying lap. Verstappen, he's flying as well, but he's not improved through Sector 1. He hasn't dropped the lap yet, but we might see him do so if things continue to go south for him. Mario as well has started his flyer, as has Crampy, so everything still to play for.
All right.
There we go, 2 tenths, 2.5 tenths for Verstappen. That could be enough. Again, it's all dependent on this final sector, but this could see him put himself into pole position.
This is crucial. Absolutely crucial for him here. Everyone catching those flags now. Wisp, Yasko, Liam, Darian, Houdini as well. And here we have it. Through the final turn now. Verstappen, can he take pole position? Yes, he can. Nearly 3/10 the improvement. Can anybody take him off of that position? Scars is going to be looking to maybe cross the line with another improvement here, and it looks like there's some racing happening ahead of him. Liam's AI and Darian, their AIs are having a bit of a squabble, it would seem. Scars, no improvement. He crosses the line. Matteo, he's not going to be improving on his lap. Crampy, as you said, he was flying. He's also invalidated.
Yeah, Crampy was on for a fairly big improvement as well. Is that Domi? Well, he's come up, he's turned into the session, and now 133.2 on mediums. Mario fails to improve in the McLaren. So Domi now on that second row of the grid. Well, I'm sure that's then a little bit of worry into Matteo, who is looking for that first win if he can get it. But Verstappen Scars up there as well, and
Kai not going to be improving, and he's in 11th position on this grid. However, his rival Liam is still behind him. Maxim, no improvement as he crosses the line. And Matteo, I don't believe he's aware that he's the last active driver on the grid right now.
Oh, well, I imagine that with the session over, he will pull into the pit lane. That's what he would hope for a McLaren driver, but letting the AI controlled cars through. But here he comes into the pit lane to, fingers crossed, get this session rounded out, and we can move on to the final Tier 2 race of the season.
What an interesting grid lineup this is. A lot of the big players aren't where you normally see them, so let's take a look at it. Right now, things are lining up, and Well, it's quite the grid. Verstappen on pole position in the Renault, representing the IRL League. We have Scars, the South African, in the Ferrari on the front row. Behind him, just half a tenth. Just half a tenth on the rear of the Renault. Matteo Lange, just 4/10 behind them in the McLaren. Domi in the Williams on the mediums. Crampy rounding out your top 5 in the Haas. And then we have Cedros, Mario, Neo, aka Wisp, in 8th. Yasko 9th, and we'll go down through the rest of this grid, of course, on the formation lap.
Yeah, Domi, poised on those mediums, is looking very strong to round out his Tier 2 championship. Obviously, he's already won it, but it wouldn't hurt him to add another win to that tally, so they'll be looking for it this evening. But it's pretty much anyone's game as to who takes that top spot this evening. Like you said, there's a few people who you wouldn't always see up on the front row of the grid who are looking here to be on for a nice little finish for themselves if everything goes to plan.
Of course, if you're just tuning in, this is the final round of Season 3 MRL action for the Tier 2 grid. It is Abu Dhabi. And it has been an intense season. And from the races we've seen for Tier 2 and from the races we've seen around Abu Dhabi, I don't think this is going to be any exception. Of course, we have the Tier 1 race later this evening as well. We're off on the formation lap. Let us know how many safety cars you all think we may get in this session. It looks like Domi has had some kind of desync issue. I certainly hope that is not the case.
I think Domi's game might have crashed here, so fingers crossed he can get back in this lobby as quickly as possible and hopefully resume control of that car, but he's already loading back up. Mario disqualified from the session, and so is Cjos, so their tyres could be pretty cold upon race start.
I think we're in for a wild ride here. Of course, if you are tuning in to the race, help us out, share the stream, get your friends involved. We want to know who you are backing for the race win here. We want to know how many safety cars, and we want to know who you've got winning this race before we even get into the action here.
Yeah, it's a tough one to call, but you know, I'm sure there's fans of a few drivers here, so who they want to see win this race. And looking at the tyres, squid. We've seen it a couple times, or we saw it a couple of drivers on Tuesday on the softs outside the top 10. So let's see how he starts. And Gadden at the rear of the grid on the hards as well. That's an interesting choice as well, given that we've seen mostly mediums and softs throughout the rest of the week, but different tyre strategies can play an interesting role.
Well, I have no idea what's going to happen here. I'm trying to verify whether or not Domi has control of his car, because we know how the AI likes to send the car through other cars on the start of a race when the driver has a disconnect before formation, but unfortunately there's just not a lot we can do about it, and it's the worst case. But here we have it, all of these drivers now on the grid. They are all lined up, ready to go racing here. Tier 2 action, lights are coming on, 2, 3, 4, 5 red lights here around the Yas Marina circuit. Engines are revving. Doesn't look like we've had that AI car go just yet, and we are off racing. Matteo has had a rocket launch off the line here, and he's already wheeled the wheel into turn 1. He's got the Ferrari on the inside, and he's done a spin. He's had contact. There's other drivers involved going around him as well. The Red Bulls are on that mix as well. Wisp on the rear of Domi, and the safety car has now been deployed coming out of turn 2.
Yeah, that was not the race start that either McLaren wanted. Like you said, Matteo absolutely shot off of the start. His teammate Mario further down the grid, he started in 7th. He just his car barely moved after launching. His pace was so slow, and that's what you saw in Yasko, who was one of the drivers. I think Liam was the other one who came off, and they were avoiding other contact because they were running wide because of the slow-moving McLaren in front of them. And then, obviously, on the off-track, you had Matteo who'd spun, so that's sort of what happened there. I think a few other drivers, there was a lot of cars going side by side into turn 1. We've got a lot of position changes to look at here. Only 4 drivers, I think, staying where they were, maybe 5.
That is just
of the starting lap. And Adrian, look at him, up in 4th.
I have to say, he's had a fantastic start. You take a look at the tires he's on right now. He's on those mediums, and that's absolutely crucial for his race here. Verstappen, Scars, I don't know what to say about the Ferrari coming through turn 1 there. We had a beautiful view of it. We had an amazing view of what happened in turn 1. Matteo, that beautiful jump off the line. It was very good. And I think Scars trying to maybe recover that very, very early. Perhaps stuck, well, his nose where it didn't belong at the worst moment. But now we have a variety of drivers coming into the pit lane here. Softs coming off here. Let's see what everybody jumps on
for
to.
A wing change as well.
Maxim, Domi, Wisp, all onto the medium compound tires. Joss, he got double stacked behind his teammate there. He's onto the mediums as well as Yasko. Cactus is picking softs. Liam onto the hards, and Matteo and Houdini have pulled the call for mediums. What a race start this has been.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, 3rd through 11th, they've all gained places in this race now, and well, Crampy's going to be happy with how this has gone. You know, we were saying before that a couple people may have predicted him to win this race. A podium, at least, is looking, you know, on the cards for him. He's up to 3rd place, starting 5th on the grid, so he'll be happy with how this race started for him. The Haas driver, though, still a long way to go before we get to that checkered flag, so anything can happen, and already the safety car out.
This race has just been really flipped on its head. We already had quite a separation in this grid, given how the qualifying landed. Now, a lot of those front-end players, you look at Matteo, you know, he had a great qualifying, he had a great start. Now he's in 18th, and he's going to be looking to do work and cut through this grid on this restart. Now we've had a big issue as Kai Bacchini has spun under safety car conditions, and he is going to drop like a stone through this grid. Wow. This has just gone horribly for him, and he is now going to go straight to the back of the bus. Houdini will pass him more than likely here. Yes, there he goes. Oh, a little bit of contact there with Kai, and I'm not entirely sure what's happened there at all. What was that? Yeah, entirely unnecessary.
Don't really know there, but like you were saying, this race really flipped on its head. You've got the top 3 in the standings, obviously Domi, Liam, and Kai. Domi's in 12th, Liam's in 18th, and Kai, now into the pit lane, is in last place, so
if Dirk Chocolate is around, I do believe Kai Bacchini is one of his engineering racers. I don't know if Dirk's on call today, but Kai, a very unfortunate circumstance for him there.
Yeah, I think Dirk is in the chat, so I imagine he's also in a VC. But Kai, staying in the race, is under safety car. He's got the opportunity to catch up. He's onto these fresh softs. And fresh softs means only one thing, Jeff. He's going to look to go as fast as possible and regain as many places as he possibly can on this restart.
Oh, man. This Kai Bacchini's had some very, very unique performances. I want to see if we can have a Canada 2.0 here. We've seen him go back to front before, and this race really hasn't gotten going just yet. He has one benefit, and that is the fact that he really has free choice of tire no matter what the circumstance now, given that he has shredded that need to use 2 different compounds. He's on fresh softs. His rival Liam in 18th position as well, and it's those 2 drivers, 18th and 20th, doing the dance for P2 in this championship. And as it stands right now, Liam will take it just on the fact that he's leading it in that fight.
Yeah, and it's not a small points gap. There's 14 points in it, so Kai would need a really solid finish to take that position away from Liam in the standings. Also, we'll see. Joss was looking for 5th. He needed a fair amount of points. I think safety car is coming in. He's down out of the points. Mateo, he was looking for a position gain as well. He's out of the points.
Well, we'll see how Verstappen knows how to get the grid back bunched up. He's had a big slide, and Scars is going to take clear advantage. Verstappen with a big slide out from the final turn. Does Scars have the ability to capitalize? No. And Crampy, he wants all of this. He wants all of this. Verstappen having to really think fast there to recover. Squid right now. He's looking at Mario, quite tight as well. And there is just such tight intervals through this grid. The train is back in formation as we come out of the hairpin. There goes Maxim up the inside of Gadwin. Gadwin having a bit of an issue getting the traction out of that turn, and we'll see what happens to him now. He's got Neo barking up his rear in the sister car, the AlphaTauri now. Just up ahead of them, Domi looking for Maxim into the hairpin, or into turn 8, I should say.
Yeah, they are side by side, locked about, but Maxime holds off the Williams and up in front of them. Extremes just had a horrible exit out of turn 10, and that could leave him vulnerable to the Alfa Romeo, but I think he's got just enough pace. Adrian and Mario, they're side by side going through the chicane. The AlphaTauri looking for it now up the inside into 14, and he gets that move done. Mario just off the track, and now Squid, he looked for it in sector 1. He's going to find the move through the final sector. And Mario, not going to be happy. He's just dropped 2 places. And now Darian Alfie is hot on the heels of the McLaren. And Darian on these mediums. Obviously, Adrian in 4th is on them as well. But Darian behind Adrian, Squid and Mario on the softs. Well, Squid and Mario. And Crampy's out.
Crampy's had a retirement. He is out of this race. And it looks like we have our 2nd safety car deployment of Tier 2 racing here in Abu Dhabi. And I really don't know what to say about this.
Yeah, Crampy, he's blocking the pit entrance, so a very tricky spot. Don't quite know how.
Kai Bacchini utilizing this opportunity very well here. He is in a very good position to jump onto some fresh tires, and you know what this means is if he is able to catch this grid, before those leaders come into the pit lane, he could very well net some positions considering how tight this formation is right now. This might work perfectly back into the Mercedes' hands, Unicorn.
Yeah, mediums. It'd be tough to take him to the end, but it really gives him the flexibility. You know, if there's another safety car later on in this race, it gives him the flexibility. Obviously, he's already used those 2 composite tires, so he can go to either the mediums or the soft, depending on when. If there is another safety car to be called. If not, he can just wait it out until he's in range of the soft and take the softs to the end when he switches to them. Probably around lap 18, 19, I would imagine. But yeah, taking very, very good initiative to get off of those softs. Pretty much the lap he got onto them as well, so Kai taking a lot of pit stops here, but I think it's the best protocol for the Mercedes driver, his teammate or reserve teammate for the season, Cactus in 16th. So Mercedes, they want some points, but right now not looking too strong for the finish. Now, the safety car as well gives Verstappen another opportunity to restart. Mario into the pit lane, interestingly enough, but you know, we saw him have that wobble on the start out of the last corner. It's quite surprising that Scars wasn't able to find a way through. I don't think he'll missed the opportunity a second time round.
Yeah, due to the fact that the leader had not yet caught the safety car, Pabuchini had to go through that entire lap following the Delta, and he wasn't able to really catch up and get any of what I had thought he might be able to get on a few of these racers. He is going to catch Cactus, his teammate, but that's about it, as Mario comes out just ahead of him. Mario was, of course, the only one to pit out of this formation.
Yeah, I do believe it was just for tyres as well, and I think it's not a bad call for the McLaren, because now he's on these fresh mediums. There's only 3 people left on the softs they started this race on. Mario just got off of his, and it's not going to be too long until we see them come into the pit lane anyway. You know, probably 5-6 laps at most for most of them. So Mario, I think, just like Kai, takes good advantage here of the safety car coming out and gets off at times he would have had to get off soon anyway. So
if you're in this top 7, like, I don't know if it's the right call to stay out here. The softs, at the very least, I feel like it's the wrong call. Safety car coming in this lap, and we've just had a gentle tap, I imagine, between Mateo and Cjos. They've both just been awarded 5-second penalties for an extremely severe collision under the safety car conditions, as they both have all of their front ends still intact here.
Yeah, I don't think that for those on the mediums in that top 7, that pitting would be the right idea, just because of how much Mario has dropped here in terms of positions and how much traffic he's now in. But for those runners on softs, I think that Kai spun again!
Oh no. This is not what he needs on a safety car restart. Meanwhile, things are away. We are back to green flag racing. Verstappen having a little bit of a better exit out of the final turn this time, as Scars nowhere close enough to get the same run. Meanwhile, Adrian running deep through turn 1. He's already got Squid wanting a taste of that blood in the water. Down the inside now. Oh, you see Squid holding some good patience there, not just committing to the move just yet. Now, we look back. Darian Alfie has the front row seats. Right behind him, Undertaker and Extreme are having a battle, and Squid now under here. Huge threat from Darian, as he had a bit of an issue coming out of the hairpin. Wheel to wheel now. A drag race down into turn 8. Squid on the inside. Darian squeezing, trying to hold that outside line through. Back on the inside through 9. And there it is for the racing point. Darian into 4th position. Undertaker's had an issue. Extreme is through, and Maxim wants a piece of the cake. 6, 7 now. Racing point, Alfa Romeo, and this Renault is still looking on the inside of the Alfa Romeo now. Extreme and Maxim having a dance. Wow, Unicorn, this restart really has some highlights for us.
Yeah, really nice for Maxime, Extreme, and Undertaker. Let's keep it clean. Maxime at the inside loses a lot of pace there because he has to back out of the move, and that's Undertaker around the outside of the Alfa Romeo. Maxime, though, covers that off nicely, and now it's Domi around the outside of the Renault looking for P8.
Oh, and he makes my! I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. Houdini, Mario, and Cactus caught in a 3-car collision through Sector 3, and we have our 3rd inside of the 1st phase of this race. Safety car, and I can only imagine the stewards watching this race right now are absolutely furious.
Yeah, this is not one you want to be a steward on. There's going to be, I imagine, a lot of incident reports after this race. The front runners who didn't take the opportunity last time around to get off of the softs they started the race on have now done so. So you've got Scars, Adrian. Adrian, interestingly enough, was on mediums. So he's come off of those to get fresh medium tyres on. Squid as well comes in, and Undertaker as well. And Cjos and Cactus, they've come in to the pit lane. Obviously, they weren't front runners. So, yeah, 3rd safety car, like you said. Haven't seen any DRS this race, and DRS is a very powerful tool, but we haven't seen it yet. So, yeah, and I think, you know, you were saying it last time, it would have been the top 7. Now it's just the top 2 pitted, as well as Gathering sick on the hards. But I think Adrian's made a very good call to pit with the leaders here, because that's exactly what they are. They are the leaders of the race. If he wants to stay in the fight for what probably will be the net lead when everyone else has to come in at least once more, if not twice in a few cases, I would imagine.
I am just trying to think about what happened to the Tier 2 grid when they woke up this morning to think, yeah, in Abu Dhabi, we're going to cause 3 safety cars by lap 10, because this race is not a demonstration of what we have seen from the Tier 2 grid this season. Most definitely not. I'd say this is them at their worst, and it's very unfortunate to see. Hopefully, there is still a race that can be pulled from this very unique opening stint.
Yeah, I mean, well, you got the first, 10 laps pretty much. Well, it's probably going to be... We might see the safety car go round again, because it hasn't even gone round yet. It's still waiting for Darian Alfie. But, it's basically not half the race, but chopped off a good third of it for safety cars. So, and it's thrown the strategy sort of out the window, because now on the timing tower you can just see the different tires that we've got on the grid. They're all, well, apart from 3 cars, they're all mediums, but a lot of them are at different ages. You've got Darian at the top on 8-lap-old mediums. I can't remember who was up there with him, but they've decided to pit. I do believe it was Undertaker, who's now in 15th behind Squid. So he's got off of the mediums he started this race on. So you've got Darian and Extreme, both the racing points on 8-lap-old mediums up at the top. Then you've got a clump of drivers on 6-lap-old mediums, separated by Gadwin on 8-lap-old hards, which he started this race on. Liam on hards in 9th, and Kai on 3-lap-old mediums he took on the last safety car. Then you've got those who were leading this race, most of whom started on softs, with the exception of Adrian, which means Adrian will have to pit again for softs. I imagine we'll see the rest of them do so as well. But all these different tyre strategies means these drivers are all going to pit again at different times. And the race at the end, well, I don't think this is anywhere close to what the finishing order of this race is going to look like.
Well, a couple of the fantastic viewers in the chat. Of course, if you are viewing along with this race, we greatly appreciate your support. As always, my name is Strifium from Canada. Joining me is Unicorn from the UK. This is the finale of Tier 2, and I guess finales are meant to be remembered. We'll definitely not be forgetting this one anytime soon. Just a fun statistic. The most safety cars we have ever seen deployed as a full safety car in racing around MRL have both actually been in Tier 2 racing action. 3 is not the most we've seen. 4 is, and it's happened twice. It's happened in Baku Season 2 and Season 3, and now we quite possibly could see it again here.
Yeah, it would be, a fairly disappointing record to break. But, good or bad records are there to be broken, and I'm sure Tier 2 isn't trying to, but they're doing a pretty solid effort right now. As we have crossed onto lap 10, the grid is very bunched up, so you have to imagine that the safety car will come in at the end of this lap. Someone who is poised to do pretty well, I think, is Kai Bacchini.
I couldn't agree more. I was just about to say, this race has been quite the heart in it's been up and down. I could not picture myself being the driver of that car. It's been all over this grid, this race, and we have 18 laps still to come.
Yeah, well, I imagine he has he's got dark chocolate in his ear, a calming voice, but Kai, like you said, up and down. He's now got to get his head back in the game. He really has been gifted a second opportunity here at a really, really good race start, or a race restart, I should say. He's actually up 1 place from where he started this race. He's on one of the best sets of tyres on the grid. Obviously, the drivers behind him are on fresher rubber, but everyone ahead of him, older tyres. So he has an advantage on everyone ahead of him in that respect. And P10, still a very, very good result on the cards for him. A podium is very possible, and even a win, I dare say it.
Well,
but it all depends on this restart.
That's right, we're coming in. Darian Alfie leading the charge this time. We've seen Verstappen lead 2 race restarts now. It is the Racing Point's turn. Of course, thank you so very much to everybody who has followed along with the stream and supported the Misfits Racing League throughout Season 3. We couldn't and we wouldn't be doing it without you, so we greatly appreciate all of your support as always. Now, let's hope that this will be the last time we come down to a slow stroll around the circuit.
Yeah, we've got, speaking of strolls, I do believe that's his car that's just been hammered down to restart this race. And Darian getting a little bit of a slide. Nowhere near the size of the one we saw Verstappen get. Domi close to the rear, Maxime B not finding the move into turn 1 though. The rest of the grid fairly tame. The other Williams pretty close to Adrian, but again, no move to be found.
Kai Bicini quite tight to the rear of Liam now. The rivals in the running for second position in the championship. Kai Bicini with a look up the inside. He holds it tight through the inside curbing here. Does he have it back on the outside now? This will give him the inside through the hairpin. This could be a very good move done and dusted for Kai and the Mercedes, and there he goes on the mediums. What a move from him, and now he needs to push the gap. Verstappen on the rear of the Red Bull as well. He has the Ferrari crawling up his rear. That's Scars. And here we have it now. Liam on the inside defending that Renault through. Does Verstappen get it? Yes, he does through turn 8. No DRS just yet. Gadwin and Yasko have exchanged, as have Domi and Maxim. Gadwin now falling in 7th. Mateo is right up the rear and he's coming through on the inside. Maxim and Domi still doing the dance in 3rd and 4th.
Yeah, there is some really, really lovely racing coming out of Maxime and Domi. Domi had a lovely switchback through 8 and 9. Maxime tried to go around the outside into 11. Didn't happen for him there.
Kai Bicini is locked in with Verstappen and Matteo Longe right now, and I have to say it is a very, very tough battle to follow with the cameras that we're being fed, but this is a serious battle and it's one that we want to follow. Meanwhile, Domi within 2/10 of second position already. Extreme, he has a huge problem named Domi, the Hungarian, on a charge. Maxim following through. Kai now back through into 8th, coming out of the final turn. Wow, there is not a lot you can't... Oh, there's so much going on, Unicorn.
Yeah, there is tons of battles coming on. One thing about the race starts, Verstappen's had an issue. He's lost both end plates and a big portion of the left side of his front wing. And, well, it hasn't really been his day for restarts. And, well, I'll be very bitterly disappointed with how this race has gone. Domi on this restart. The opposite, though,
Gadwin!
Gadwin's falling.
Yeah, Gadwin's had an issue coming into the hairpin here. He's fallen into 16th. Verstappen behind him in 17th now, and we've still got a ton of action coming down the straight as Kai Bicini has Matteo in his rear view. Matteo looking to get a slip through on the outside, coming out of 8. And that gives you the inside through 9, but Kai Bicini, a little bit later on the brakes there, holding well, and Liam has the front row seat. So much speed coming down these straights right now. Neo looking at Maxim down the inside into turn 11. A little bit of contact. He has Extreme next to him as well.
Yeah, Maxime looking around the outside of Neo, not finding the space. Adrian and Squidder exchanging down the grid, and well, there's a 62 yellow flag for Verstappen all on his own.
This race has just... Now that we have a little bit of green flag running, we can really see what we've been waiting to see. And that is a ton of intensity without too much contact and not too much debris flying all over the place. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we can finally have, for the first time in this race, some proper DRS. And right now, Scars on the rear of Liam is going to be utilizing that quite soon coming through Sector 2. And we've got yellow flags popping up once again through Sector 3. That is the Renault of Verstappen, who has gone from a good position in this race to the worst position in this race.
Well, Neo up the inside into turn 6. He gets 3rd place, and now Maxime looking around the outside of Extreme, and a little bit of wheel banging, and that's lost Extreme the position not only to Maxime but Kai as well now. DRS enabled. Everyone's got it. It's a huge train. And Maxime B, I don't think he's using any ERS. Verstappen is out of the session. He's just retired in the pit lane. Maxime still in 4th place going into the chicane. You've got Extreme on the inside there. they've come together, and who is that? It's Yasko going off the track to avoid it. He's actually made...
This is crazy racing.
There's so many cars. It's like 5 wide, but it is actually 2 different battles of 2. There's so many cars coming down here towards turn 11.
Kybachini with so much speed into 4 through into 11, but it's Neo. What has happened here? Kybachini.
So many cars.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Misfits Racing League. Season 4 is going to be something else, Unicorn. Oh my.
Liam's off the track, forced wide a little bit by Extreme, who takes 8th place. Then you've got Scars and Adrian off the track. Scars now into 11th with Undertaker separating them, as well as Cactus, who's joined the fun around the outside of Adrian. This grid hasn't separated with the exception of Darian Alfie and Domi up at the front. This is also giving Neo a bit of a break as well. He's now 1.3 seconds as well. There's just so many battles going on all over the place.
Does this excite you? Does this excite you for Tier 1, or does it scare you? Because I'm still trying to figure it out. I'm going to be very honest. I'm still trying to figure it out. Scars, Squid, they are absolutely locked together right now, and there's a little bit of separation forming on this grid. The Ferrari is just in for the ride on this train. Squid, Liam, Extreme. That's Yasko, the other Ferrari ahead of them now. Scar is doing a little bit of drifting through the hairpin. Undertaker, does he have an exit to get the Ferrari as a result? He just might. Liam now on the rear of the Racing Point in a drag race, utilizing that DRS. Does Squid follow him through here? He's looking to. Oh, the Williams. He just can't get it done as Liam blocking his way there. And I have to say, this has really helped Extreme get away. Liam now, once again, gonna have a run. He's got Squid on his rear. Kybachini in an exchange with the AlphaTauri. He's into 3rd. Still now, the wheel-to-wheel exchange through 11. Extreme still holding on. Wow. Great hold from Extreme there through a very difficult section of circuit, but he's come unhinged.
And Adrian have just come together, and they're in the grass. Everyone else managed to stop their cars before anything became too disastrous there, but still, a little synchronized drifting on the pair of them.
Last race of the season. Everybody in it to the end for this race, Unicorn. And here's Extreme now. Liam into 8th. Squid now taking advantage through the inside of the final turn, and he's into 9th. And Scars is right on the rear of this Racing Point. A little bit of contact between the two. It's going to unsettle that Racing Point. He slams on the brakes, and there goes Scars ahead of him into 10th position.
Yeah, battles now are actually starting to pull away from one another. It's Sejos now looking around the outside of Gadwin into turn 5. It's not particularly where you usually see him move. He hasn't been able to get P13 pried away from the Red Bull, at least not just yet. Mateo on the rear of Maxime. DRS is both are pretty much out of ERS, looking at the inside in the McLaren. He doesn't want to make the overtake just yet. You can see him just sort of holding off a little bit. Where's the DRS detection zone? I think Maxime might have actually got the DRS. He does.
That's massive. That's absolutely massive for him. And Mateo looking at that outside right now. Maxime giving him a little squeeze, trying to keep that door shut, making sure the McLaren doesn't try to sneak through. Mateo holding that penalty as well. 8 seconds for the McLaren, and this is not what you want to have when the grid is this tight through Abu Dhabi, that's for sure.
Visually, Strip, I didn't see either open their rear wings, so I'm not quite sure who actually got the DRS. It said on the telemetry that Maxime got it, but I didn't see his rear wing pop open, and Squid looks at the inside of Liam, down into 18. Again, a bit of a... Oh, Scars! He's out of the race!
No!
Into the wall.
He's right in the middle of the circuit, and then is that going to be a safety car? Is that going to be the 4th safety car in this race? All of the drivers have cleared that car now, and it is a safety car, but it is a VSC, yes, and there is quite a development. Cactus is going to take this opportunity to jump into the pit lane. He's taking a 5-second penalty on the way in, and he's not going to be thrilled about that.
Well, I think this is an excellent time to come into the pit lane. Look at the tyre stints you've got right now. You've got 13, 15, 10, 13 laps. Mediums to the end here. Very, very comfortable to do so. But this is only a VSC, so Cactus won't be afforded the opportunity to catch up. He's got for softs as well, Strip.
Well, one thing to talk about is the fact that if Kybachini and Liam finish in their standing positions right now, I think Kai might take it. If somebody can double check the standings, just give me the gap. I can't remember precisely. Was it 14 or was I thought it might have been less. Oh, and there's been a tap now. Liam, Squid, coming through turn 8 and 9. Squid's gone right into the rear of that Red Bull, and there's been massive contact and debris coming off of that Williams. And there's been more.
Yes. Squid now in the off track. And loses his front wing as well. Well, actually, he hasn't lost it. He's carrying it with him. Now it flips off his car. But, yeah, very, very unfortunate. Now, no front wing. Well, he looked like he was doing pretty well this race. It's now pretty much all but over for him, unless we do see another safety car as the two Red Bulls exchange places.
Well, this race has been quite unique to cast, if I do say so myself. I don't really know what to make of it at this point, other than that we have had some good racing in it, and we've had some unique racing in it. That's what I'll say on that one. Stream right now, under threat, the Alfa Romeo looking for 9th, and that's, of course, C-Joss. And there's a little bit of contact now. Big tire differential coming out of both of these drivers. Extreme on his starting medium still.
Yeah, as is his teammate Darian Alfie, who's still up in P2. 3.9 seconds clear of Kai Bacchini, who's climbed all up to 3rd, and now they're side by side. You see just a little bit later on the outside into the hairpin, but Extreme closes that door, but DRS will be in favour of the Alfa Romeo. And now looking to the outside of the racing point, DRS pulling C-Joss through on Extreme, and fairly easy overtake for
Adrian
him.
Gadwin.
Is Extreme going to be able to answer?
Adrian Gadwin in the exact same location, having an exchange, and Adrian through into 11th on the 8-lap old mediums. Gadwin on those hards as Extreme gets that switch back into 9th position ahead of C-Joss. A little bit of a slide and loss of traction there. 16-lap old mediums are going to be screaming at this point in the race.
Yeah, my heart was in my mouth there for Extreme. There was just enough room between C-Joss's car and the barrier for Extreme to take advantage of, and he did. He just slotted the car through the gap, and very nicely done from him. He evidently knows just how much space was there and available to him. And going back to that battle between Kai and Liam in the standings, now Kai would pull away successful by 1 point. I believe it's 15 points for P3, and he's 14 points behind Liam, so he'd win the P2 in the standings by 1 point if the race was to finish like this. But we still have 10 laps to go, and we saw how the first 10 laps went. We've seen how the last 8 laps have gone. It's still anyone's game, but the grid is much more spaced out than it was. But there are still a few people hunting each other down. Matteo and Yasko in a little DRS train behind Maxime B, as well as Adrian on the rear.
Darian Alfie
Extreme
still has to come in here, and I want to see what he's able to do on a fresh set, given the fact that he's in P2 right now. I can only assume he comes in for the softs, as Adrian and Extreme having an exchange through 8 and 9. There's Adrian into 10th. And Adrian...
Well, I don't know how many more people have to pit in this race, because I think there's a lot of drivers in that top 7 who need to pit at least.
Well, three drivers need to pit as a fact, considering they haven't pit at all. And then we have the rest of this grid on very old tires. Well, a good chunk of the top 10 on very old tires. Domi, as we've said it now, the leader of this race is called the pit, and here we have Darian staying out. Kai Bacchini, 13-lap old mediums. I wonder if he decides to pit, given the fact that he's in 2nd position now. Come in, get a set of softs to the end here, maybe. Domi's decided to get onto softs. Wisp has pit as well. Onto another set of mediums to the end.
Mediums to the end is an interesting choice. Unless he has no softs left, he, used them all up in qualifying. I imagine pretty much everyone else will go for softs to the end from this point forward. Because we're, about 9 laps from the end of this race. So 9 laps possible on softs. Obviously, Abu Dhabi not the kindest on tyres. especially given the track temperature is usually a little bit higher than on most tracks, I do believe. So, you know, spins really just ruin tyres. But softs to the end, I think, are very possible. And Cactus, speaking of softs and fairly fresh ones, 136.9 takes the fastest lap of the race. He's currently down in 14th place. And Yasko has had a very nice run out of turn 10 and breezes past Matteo in the McLaren, and he takes P4 in this three-way battle for the final podium position.
I have to say, Matteo there, it was coming into 8. I caught the battle as we were moving through. He was fighting with Maxim. Coming out of turn 9, Matteo, a big slide out of the rear, big loss of traction. It allows Yasko to close the gap, and of course, with that DRS, it was just a matter of time before he got that move into turn 11, and it was a very, very neat move from Yasko. Very opportunistic. He's having a good drive right now. No penalties. The drivers that are in front of him and behind him are now both pitting, and he has no penalties. So he's actually staying out here. He's going for the very large overcut as everybody has now come in ahead of him, and it's Yasko in the Ferrari leading this race.
And he's up 8 places where he started. Obviously, the stop will drop him down a bit, but oh, the spin! Oh, he's done very well to catch that.
Domi was coming through as well.
Domi
was coming through as well, and it looks like Domi's actually let Yasko back through, coming through the chicane.
He might have carried too much speed in avoiding the car.
That was very close for Yasko. Nearly, I think that could have been a retirement had he gone any further. Kai and Adrian now. Kai, fresh softs. He's absolutely hunting down Sejoss, and this is actually, I think, a very good strategy call out of Kai Bacchini.
Yeah, Yasko, though, I'm still in awe of the fact that he managed to stop that car from spinning into the wall. Neo, gets past Gadwin for P7.
Matteo threw on Undertaker as well.
Still on his starting tyres.
Sejoss now, he's been dispatched by the Mercedes. Kai into 4th, and in the top 4 right now, or in the top 5, you have 3 drivers on softs, and I think that could very well be your podium in this race to the end of things.
This is working out quite nice, like you say, for Kai Bacchini, that Mercedes crew. I do believe Kai has that race engineer in Dirk Chocolate, so Kai now onto the fresh softs. Looking for at least a P3, if not a P2. Yasko now into the pit lane. Where does he come out? He will be going onto a fresh set of soft compound tyres.
There we have it. Yasko into the pit lane. Those softs, yeah. There we have it. Domi, Darian, Kai, Sejoss now. He's still out on these hards.
I mean, Sejoss can go to the end on them, but I imagine that he just doesn't want to pit because look where Yasko's falling. I think Sejoss making the right call by staying out. Wisp as well in P5 is looking pretty strong on those fresh mediums.
Darian now, Kai. They have exchanged as Darian lets Kai through. Well, I don't know about lets, but he didn't have much of an option there. Maxim through on Gadwin. Gadwin still on his starting tires in this race. Let's talk about it. He's made up 13 positions from where he began at the back of the bus. So I'd say he's having a pretty good drive, and he's doing quite well on those tires right now.
Yeah, he's doing well on them, but I don't think that staying out this long is the call.
He's got Matteo, well, not Matteo, but he's got Maxim still quite tight in his grasp, but you see Matteo, that gap is just being crushed by the McLaren.
Yeah, Domi leading this race by 10 seconds over Kai. He's now in P2. 135.4. He takes the fastest lap of the race currently.
I have to say, somebody who's in a very unique position here is Wisp, because he's within half a second of Sejoss. Matteo, well, what's the penalty situation? Matteo's got 6 seconds now. He had 8 at one point. Gadwin, come in. What's he done here? Softs for Gadwin. That's, of course, the only thing I could imagine him jumping onto. Yes, Neo, 12, well, 13 lap old hards for Sejoss ahead of him right now. He's going to get a very good opportunity to get a position from him right here. DRS on the rear now open, and he's already ahead of that Alfa Romeo. No contest between this battle of alphas, and depending on tires and how the drivers at the front push and how he's able to push, he could be in a good position should any of those front runners take a penalty through the last few laps in this race.
Yeah, and you know, his tyres will not die off in terms of pace either, so if Darian's tyres start to slow up towards, you know, I don't think they will slow up enough, but if they were, and maybe can push for third place. And like you say, if Darren was to pick up a penalty as well, that would really aid in his campaign to see himself up on that podium.
Things spacing themselves out now, and DRS playing a role in this. Well, Sejoss, I think Maxim obviously is going to come ahead of him here. I don't see why Sejoss would hold up his teammate. But they have Matteo not too far behind.
Yeah, here's another little interesting battle. As like you're saying, most things on track right now are cooling down a little bit. Looking at the standings, we talk about the drivers a little bit, but with the constructors, going into this race, there was a three-way battle for P5 in the constructor standings. Ferrari currently leading the charge, 175 points. AlphaTauri on 172, and then Haas on 167. Both Haas drivers are out of this race as Maxime gets the move done on his teammate for P5. But so Haas is out of the running there. And if Matteo was able to climb into enough points, he could actually overtake the Haas crew on his own. Obviously, his teammate Mario is also out of this race. But a P3 or higher would secure 7th in the standings for McLaren for Matteo. But AlphaTauri need to outscore Ferrari by 4 points. And right now, with Wisp in 4th and Yasko in 8th, with Adrian out of the points, but he could be able to grab 1 or 2, as now Matteo. Very brave around the outside, late on the brakes as well.
Nice move. Yeah, that was neatly done, I have to say. Sejoss, not a lot of defensive ability on hards like this. Adrian going for a move of his own right now. Extreme, a little bit of an anchor in it for Liam there, and Liam didn't have much of a leg to stand on. Extreme holding him up, and there's a big battle for this final points position. Lap 24 out of 28, and of course, if you're just tuning in, or you didn't hear us before, we've got Tier 1 action coming up in just 45 minutes, and considering how the Tier 2 race has gone, I'm nervous.
Yeah, I'm not going to be jealous of your voice book after the end of this. Mine, you know, I've drunk half a pint of water as a result of this race during the last, like, half an hour.
Squid's retired in the pit lane now. His race has come and gone, and what a battle we're seeing for this final points position, as right now Adrian is carrying the gauntlet. Matteo locked and loaded, looking for a move on Maxim. Here we go to the outside, coming into turn 11. Does he have enough traction right now to get it done? He will have the inside through 12, now through 13. Maxim holding well. Good exit from Matteo here, though. And into 5th position for him. See if Maxim has anything to say about it. Through the next few turns, Matteo with a bit of a slip. Maxim picking up on it.
Both the 6 seconds of penalties as well. They can't really cost each other too much time. They can't afford to. Because Sejoss right now is 4.1 seconds behind. So he would currently beat his teammate. But he's on those hard tyres, and Yasko is looking to try and make his way past the other Alfa Romeo, similar to how Matteo has just dispatched Maxime B.
Sejoss has Yasko working up his gearbox now. And I don't think it's going to be long before we see Yasko take advantage of those old hards for C-Joss. Coming out of the hairpin, he's just going to eat him alive.
Well, he's Ferrari's last hope at retaining P5 in the standings, and that's how he wants to be doing it. Nice clean overtakes.
Yeah, the damage on the front right of C-Joss. I have to say, I wasn't fully aware that he had that damage.
That might be why he let Maxime pass. I mean, obviously, he was well on the fresher tyres, but yeah, I don't know when C just picked that up, but you're all right, there is an end plate missing off of that car. Now, Yasko, where does he finish in this race drift? Both cars ahead of him, showing very good pace right now, but both with a 6-second penalty. Yasko penalty free. Can he stay within that gap?
It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. They're showing great pace right now. We are already on lap 26. Let's see. Maxim, Matteo, they have the DRS to pull themselves along. If Maxim can keep it. It's going to be tough for Yasko, I think, here.
Yeah, it's going to be even tougher for him to keep Ferrari ahead in the standings here because Adrian is now in the points as well. May only be one, but it still takes away from Ferrari's ability to defend here. Liam, very tight to the rear. Extreme going down into turn 1. It's Minions versus Sots. And Extreme holding off right now. He was running 1 and 2 with his teammate earlier in the race. His teammate, Darren Alfie, still on for a podium here around Abu Dhabi. It's been an excellent race from him so far. He's 11 places up from where he started. Kai's up 9 in those podium positions. Domi's up 3. Combined, that podium right now, if it's like this.
Just a straight shot around the outside here into turn 11. He gets that move done. C-Joss. What has happened to him? We're trying to get a view. He's taken out a barrier. Undertaker nets a position as a result. Very odd.
He was facing the wrong way in that barrier, so I'm not quite sure what happened there, whether it was as a result of that damage that he's got there.
Well, Matteo in 4th now. That will be quite good for him. Liam in Extreme. Liam through into 11th. Ahead of Extreme now. What a race this has been. It has been 26 laps of, well, we've had 3 full safety cars, so we got to throw those in there somewhere, but we've had so much aggression, intensity, adrenaline, I think is the words I'll use to describe this race when I write a book about it. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, there's a lot of words you could use to describe this race, and well, we thought Tuesday's race was dramatic. It was very, very dramatic way to end. There's some very close battles in the Drivers' Championship there. This one has just been, you know, just like you said, very, very adrenaline filled. I'm sure the drivers are going to come out of this one particularly buzzing because I think they've all been involved in multiple laps of just dogfighting with multiple other drivers. It's not really been one-on-ones in this race, as Adrian does exactly that, taking C-Joss in a 1 versus 1 situation. But earlier in this race, there was just huge, just bundles of cars going into corners and people gaining 3 places in 2 turns. Just absolutely crazy stuff. It was truly, you know, exciting to watch, and there's still some positional stops going down in the lower regions of this grid, and Domi is still extending his gap up at the front. Kai now almost 13 seconds behind the Williams.
Well, one thing, Liam, out of the points, Kai very much in them, and if you were a Kai Bicini fan on lap 1 of this race, and you came back and you see him in 2nd, I imagine you're going to be wanting to know what the heck happened.
Oh, Extreme's out!
Oh, dear.
He's done exactly what I believe Scars did. Hit that car on the inside wall coming out of turn 19. I don't know if have we got any VSCs left in the reserve?
I don't believe we do. It's
So I think
no
that car's just gonna have
traffic
to be
there at
taken
this
away.
time. Well, we've been seeing a lot of marshals running out on circuit recently in F1, so maybe they'll just go over there with about 12 guys, lift the car up, and run away. But we've got Neo in between two drivers with penalties, and it looks like he's going to be slated to take 4th position so he can dodge bullets and drive fast. Darian Alfie, I have to say, he's going to be thrilled given the fact that he's running in 3rd after an 11-position hop. Kai Bacchini as well, 9 positions up to 2nd, and it's 3 for Domi into 1st. From 4th is where he started. Mateo dropping back 1, and now as we come to, there it goes, the fireworks going off here around the Yas Marina circuit. We're on the Yas Island, it is the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix round 22, and this is the finale. Domi with the win. Kai Bacchini 2nd position here after one of the most dynamic races I think I have ever seen him drive, or that I have ever seen driven, period. Darian Alfie takes 3rd. Here comes Mateo to the line. 4th position at the line, but it's going to be the AlphaTauri of Neo collecting 4th. And here we have Maxim holding on to 6th until Yasko comes through in the Ferrari. Undertaker will come through in 8th with Adrian 9th. And Seedros behind him, and we'll see if the penalties are able to give Seedros anything extra. Adrian to the line will finish 9th, and now Seedros will collect a position. Adrian drops. Gadwin nets 11th as Liam collects the final points position, and Cactus will be the final racer here in the Mercedes to come around the circuit, as Extreme just recently retired the car.
Kai will be very happy that he got that P2 rather than that P3, because with Liam picking up that extra point, I think that would ended in a tie, and I'm not sure how that tie would be broken, and he gets a very well-deserved driver of the day there in game. But I think both Kai and Darian as well on that podium, huge positional gains. Well, the man on the top spot, there he is, Domi, finishes out this season with his 13th win. Unlucky for some, definitely not for him. His 16th podium, 13th win, like I said, and now that puts him just under 400 points in the standings, I'm pretty sure.
That was an absolutely thrilling race. I have to say, when you look at it all said and done, I think everyone's going to watch that back and try to really understand what happened in the first 12 laps of that race. I mean, kind of, we can say the first half, I think. The first half of that race, and then things kind of open themselves up, a little less drama in the second half. Overall, such dynamics in this one. Domi with that win in the Williams, 4th to 1st. Kai from 11th to 2nd. It's Darian, the last driver on the podium for this one, 14th to 3rd. From the Croatian, of course, Domi did, in fact, collect a few rounds ago the Tier 2 championship. So, yes, Domi is the Tier 2 champion for Season 3 of MRL action. And I think with today, of course, provisionally, barring any penalties that may follow this race for any driver, we'll say provisionally the standings are having Kai Bacchini as the runner-up for Season 3 as well in the Tier 2 championship, with Liam, of course, the champion last season, finishing potentially 3rd. So, what a race. What a race. Tier 1 action in just 40 minutes. I have well, thankfully, Mikal will be joining me for that one, because this one has... well, it's been shocking, to say the least. So, we are going to wrap up with that. And any closing remarks before we head on over and rate a member of the community, before we take a quick break?
Yeah, well, that one was, again, just huge drama. And the drivers really making your job highlighting these final few races this week. A little bit more challenging with all these highlights. But, yeah, Domi, we've seen him dominant all season long, but Kai and Darian, those position gauges, Wisp as well, 8th to 4th. So some really big gains, a few big losses in this final race of the season, and Tier 2, it's been very entertaining to watch these guys go at it for 22 rounds now, I think it is. But yeah, a very, very dramatic race, and see Tier 1 and obviously Club tomorrow to round everything out.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be a lot of fun. Of course, we are going to leave you with that. We're going to jump out for a quick break. We're going to raid Mr. Darian Alfie. He finished 3rd today. Let's run on over there and give him a fantastic congratulations, as I think he might be the only one out of the podium finishers that is currently streaming. Kai usually finishes up around this time, or actually, I don't know if he was streaming that one. Not entirely sure, but we're gonna hit Mr. Was he? Well, we're gonna hit Mr. Darian, and we're gonna see you guys in just 40 minutes time for Tier 1 racing. Hope to see you there. So much fun coming, guys. Thank you so much.